Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Post-Secondary Information Night brought to you by the Guidance and University Counseling Department at Crestwood. My name is Catherine DeCata, and I am head of the department. I am also joined by two other wonderful counselors, Miss Christine Somerville and Mr. Jeff Miss. After this presentation, if you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to reach out to any of the three of us. Our emails and extensions are listed on the slide to the left. Tonight's presentation runs for about 1 hour in length, and it's going to cover several topics, including the grade 11 and 12 guidance program offered here at Crestwood. We're going to look at post-secondary pathways, research tools, the Canadian and international application system and processes, and finally, we're going to end it off with a guest speaker. We've invited Dr. Michael Leach to join us. He is a psychologist, and he's going to talk about the successful transition of students from high school to post-secondary. So please sit back and enjoy, and now I'm going to hand it off to Ms. Somerville, who's going to walk us through the grade 11 guidance program at Crestwood.
So grade 11 guidance. So we really want to encourage our students to start their research and university planning as early as possible. The earlier they begin to think about their future university plans, the easier the application process will be when they begin to apply when they're in grade 12. So for grade 11 students, we strongly encourage them to be attending university presentations and open houses so they can gain a better understanding of what is offered and what is out there. In January, then we begin to start visiting each grade 11 class to review their final year of course selection and how that relates to their future prerequisites for university programs they might be interested in. Finally, we wrap up the year in April and May with one-to-one guidance meetings in which we go over each student's post-secondary plans and goals that they wish to focus on for the next year. Grade 12, so we are definitely a lot more hands-on. We're in the grade 12 English classes once a month in order to go over each step of the application process. Starting in September, our seminars have already begun, and we've started to introduce students to research tools as well as the important dates of the application process, just so they can start to have that on their radar. In October, we will be back in English classes to do a little bit more of an in-depth look into research by working with the students to have them research the specific details of their top university choices. As we move into November, this is when the actual application takes place. So this is when we'll be providing the students with their OUAC pins, which they'll use to log in and create an account. Once they have created an account, we'll be working with the students during that seminar to go through the process step by step of how to submit their application. So once the majority of the applications are submitted in December, we will be in classes again to discuss supplementary applications such as personal statements and portfolios, which are common for many programs. And when they are back from winter break, we will be holding a seminar for next steps, which will go over how to understand their requirements that are outlined in conditional offers, as well as application process to scholarships and bursaries. We'll also be hosting a grad panel, which involves Crestwood alumni to come and visit, probably virtually, to share their insight into their university experience, as well as answer any questions students may have. April and May, we have our last formal seminar where we do a final check-in on items such as how to accept offers, how to do tuition deposits or apply to residence, or how to even make the decision between two offers. Of course, needless to say that outside of these seminars, if any student would like additional one-to-one support through any of the given steps, they are always welcome and encouraged to arrange a meeting with a guidance counselor.
When we start the post-secondary conversations with students, we generally start with the different pathways available once you are finished high school. The university option is definitely the most common and talked about pathway amongst the graduating class, as it does require theoretical and academic-based learning, a bit of a higher average graduating out of high school, and it usually connects with career goals that require a university degree or education. We also encourage students to investigate college opportunities, as college is a really great destination for students who thrive in hands-on practical learning experiences, who are thinking about maybe completing a university degree later on in life, for students who really thrive in small class sizes with personalized learning instruction, And finally, students who have specific career goals in mind that would require a college education. And finally, we talked to students about gap years. Gap years are a really wonderful opportunity for students to take a little bit of a break in their academic career, to look at work, to think about volunteering, and maybe a little bit of travel, obviously COVID dependent. So based on all of these pathways that we talked about, we really encourage students to have open conversations at home with their parents and with us at school to talk about really what is the right path for them and what is the right timing. Every fall, we welcome post-secondary representatives from across Canada and the world to Crestwood so students can learn about various universities and colleges and their admissions processes. This year, due to COVID, we are still able to host post-secondary reps, but we will do so virtually. Grade 12s are encouraged to check the Class of 2021 group on EDSB daily for information about the presentations happening each week and the access links to join those presentations from wherever they are on their own device. A key part of deciding which post-secondary institution to go to is finding a good fit. Campus tours and open houses can be a great way to learn more about the university or college experience offered at each school. It can help determine whether a school is the right place for your son or daughter. While in-person open houses and tours are not happening this fall, all post-secondary institutions have set up virtual alternatives so you can still research and explore each school safely from the comfort of your own home. The guidance team has also organized all of the virtual open houses and tours information in Ontario in one organized document, so you can click on the link on the left-hand side of this page to access that resource. Beyond the presentations, open houses, and campus tours, students also have access to a number of online research tools depending on their post-secondary goals. Ontario University's Info is a guide for students that provides information about Ontario University programs, admission requirements, and more. OntarioColleges.ca is the main source of online information for Ontario college programs. The Common Application is geared towards students interested in U.S. applications and schools. And finally, UCAS will be used for students interested in researching schools in the United Kingdom. Since Ontario Universities is our #1 destination for Crestwood graduates, the next slide will provide a more detailed overview of how to navigate and use the website for post-secondary research.
Hello! Welcome to Ontario University's Info, or OU Info, your starting point for researching Ontario's universities. You can use OU Info to find information about university programs, admission requirements, scholarships, residence, and much more. I'm going to give you a quick tour of the OU Info website, www.ontariouniversitiesinfo.ca. Let's start by highlighting some of the ways you can search for specific university programs. There are many ways to search for programs. The easiest way is to use the search bar at the top right of the screen. Type in your search keywords and review the results to find what you're looking for. Another option is to select Programs, What Interests You from the top menu, or Find a Program from the middle of the home page. This will take you to the Browse by Category page, where you'll find a general list of educational categories. Let's say that you would like to see how many computer science programs are offered by Ontario universities. Each category has more specific subcategories called subject areas. If you want to narrow down your search to show only software engineering programs, for example, click on that subject. Now you can see programs in this subject area that are offered by several Ontario universities. You can use the drop-down menu at the top to sort alphabetically or by university. You can also check Compare to save your selections for review and compare them against different programs and universities. Choose Show My Comparisons to compare the programs you checked during your visit. Select an item from the drop-down menu to compare by grade range, prerequisites, and more. To clear a comparison, uncheck the option. You can also compare on each program page. There are a few other ways to search for program information. If you know the specific program code, for example, you can type it in the program code or keyword search box to view that program-specific information. In the same field, you can search by keyword to find a general list of programs associated with that word. You can also narrow down your search by checking the Show Advanced Search Options box to search by university, subject, location, and more. Now back to our search. You can also search by university. Select Browse by University on the right side of your screen. You can also choose Universities, Where are you going? In the top menu. For example, from the list of all Ontario universities, you can locate Trent. If you select Trent University or More Information, you can find information specific to Trent, such as campus visits, residences and meal plans, and program news. Let's choose Campus Visits. In the sidebar menu, you can also choose a different university and compare their information. Let's choose Ryerson University to view a list of their campus visits and events. To see a list of all programs offered at Ryerson, select Browse All Programs under University Programs. You'll find the programs listed alphabetically, with each one linking to a more detailed program summary. Now let's say you're interested in the Gerontology program at Lakehead University. The program summary shows the degree type, OUAC code, grade range required for admission, whether the program has a co-op option, and the number of spaces available. In some cases, you'll also find the subjects of major interest that you can study through this program. By clicking the tabs at the top, you will find more information on admission, application requirements, and how to contact the university or find out more about the program. Each tab also has links to both the university's website and the program website. Now that you've learned to find and compare your programs, let's discuss funding. Costs like residence and meal plans are listed in each university's section. In these sections, you can also find out what scholarships and awards a specific university offers. For a more thorough search of the scholarships for all universities, click on Finance, Fees and Scholarships in the top menu. From here, you can sort by name, amount, or deadline. You can also use the advanced search function to find more specific results, including dollar range, the average needed, and location. The Finance section also has some tips on the different ways you can get financial support, and links to the cost of university tuitions and fees. After researching your programs, universities, and funding options, you are now ready to look into how to apply. Choose Applications, What You Need to Know in the top menu to help you pick the right online application. This section also lists the application deadlines you need to know, has videos about how to use the online application, and has a handy university research checklist so you won't forget any important steps. You should now be able to start your university research with OU Info, your source for up-to-date Ontario University's information, all in one place. Remember, the universities make changes to OU Info throughout the year, so keep up to date by checking back regularly. Thank you for watching, and good luck with your research.
In order to successfully apply to Ontario universities, you require the four following things. First, you need to successfully complete your OSSD, meaning you need to graduate with your diploma. Number two is students must have at least 6 grade 12 U or M level courses. Number three, students must have the specific prerequisites needed for the programs that they're applying to. And number four, students must submit a supplementary application for applications that are requested by the program. So these Prerequisite courses as well as supplementary applications may differ from university to university, so it's very important that students are researching their desired programs either on the university website or through Ontario University Info. So here's an example of the details that you would find when researching programs on the Ontario University Info website. As you can see, both of these are business programs. However, the different universities have varying requirements for what they're looking for. On the left, we have Queen's Commerce. This program requires an overall average of 87% or higher. Its prerequisites include English, calculus, and an additional math, such as advanced functions or data management. For each of these prerequisite courses, they do specify that it is required to have an 80% or higher. On the right side, we have Brock University's Business Admin program. Here, the overall average needed is a range between high 70s to low 80s. They indicate that a prerequisite is English and 2 maths. So for this program, calculus is not necessarily required as long as a student has 2 other math courses. Brock also does not have a minimum grade students must achieve in each of these prerequisite courses as long as they're meeting the high 70s, low 80s overall average cutoff. Here we have another example of 2 engineering programs. We have Ryerson as well as York. So for Ryerson, we can see that they require a grade range of 80 to 85% with the prerequisites of English, advanced functions, calculus, physics, chemistry, and 1 additional 4 or M level course. York requires the grade range of low to mid 80s with the same prerequisite courses that Ryerson just stipulated. They do, however, have an additional piece that says no prerequisite can be below 70%. So as you can see, for specific programs such as engineering, universities will tend to have similar prerequisite courses. However, what will differ from university to university is the required grades for both the overall average needed as well as whether prerequisite courses need to be at or above a certain grade cutoff. Additional requirements. Many university programs, especially for engineering, business, and fine arts, require a supplementary application. These additional applications can come in many forms, such as profiles, essays, personal statements, reference letters, interviews, portfolios, or additions. It is very important for students to consult each university program they apply to in order to ensure that no additional applications are missed. They can check this information by going directly to the university website or looking at ontariouniversityinfo.ca for details.
All students wishing to apply to an Ontario university will do so through the OUAC or the Ontario Universities Application Centre. All Ontario applications go through this central online application service. The OUAC collects and distributes student data in grade 11 and 12 marks to universities. The OUAC, however, does not offer admission or accept portfolios, supplementary applications, reference letters, and so forth. Now I will provide you with a brief overview of how students will complete their OUAC applications. In late October and early November, the guidance team will visit all of the English classes and work with all of the grade 12s to get access to their OUAC application for the first time using a personalized PIN code provided by a guidance counselor. Students will log into their 101 online application and complete all of the demographic sections, and then they will continue to research and narrow down their university program selections and programs of choice. Once students have completed their research, consulted their families at home and their guidance counselor at school, they'll begin to add program choices to their application. Once their program choices are added, they're going to complete the remaining sections and then finally review, submit, and pay for their application. The next slide is going to provide a more detailed outline of each step of this process.
Hello! Welcome to the Ontario University's Application Centre, or UAC. This video tutorial number 3 We'll walk you through the steps you need to complete to submit your 101 online application. Once you've logged in, under the Application Links navigation menu, go through each page and complete all of the required information. We will go through each of these sections. In the Personal Information section, some information may already be provided by your high school. Make sure you verify the information and update it as necessary. Do not use nicknames or abbreviations. Take your time and make sure you complete every field. To save your changes, select Save and Continue. Your saved information will then be displayed. Double-check it and then move to the next step, Contact Information. Complete the Contact Information section as you did the previous section. Add your home and mailing address and at least one phone number. Your school may have already provided this information, so simply verify the information and make any necessary corrections. Ensure that the email address you provided in your UAC account is up to date, because email is the primary mode of communication for the universities and the UAC. You will receive your UAC acknowledgement email, university offers of admission, and other important information via email. In Academic Background, provide information about all institutions where you have registered in one or more high school or post-secondary courses. These institutions may include, but are not limited to, regular day schools, night schools, summer schools, and online schools. In the Program Choices section, you can add programs to your application. For further information about adding programs to your application, watch video tutorial number 2, How to Browse and Add Programs to Your Online Application. Complete the Additional University Details section only if you have previously applied to an Ontario university. In Other Academic Information, fill in the appropriate information as it applies to you. If some sections do not apply to you, you can leave them blank. Your academic information has been provided by your secondary school in the Current High School Information and Grades section. Verify your grades information for accuracy. You cannot change this data yourself, but if you see anything that is incorrect, make a note of it and then inform your guidance counselor. They will update the information for you. Even if the information is incorrect or missing entirely, continue to go through the application and submit it. When you're ready to submit, click Review and Submit. At this point, you've completed all the necessary information to submit your application. Note that you can go back to any of these steps at any point before submitting the application. You will see all your application information, including the total amount you will have to pay. Check this information very carefully and make sure that it is correct. If you need to make any changes, use the application links to go back to the appropriate screen and make the changes. Then return to Review and Submit.
The cost of submitting an OUAC application is $150 for 3 program choices. Of course, students can submit more than 3 choices, and the cost of doing so is $50 per extra program. The easiest ways to pay for an OUAC application are through Visa, MasterCard, or American Express. Once students submit and pay for their OUAC application, they will receive an OUAC reference number, which they should keep in a very safe spot, as they will use this in any future correspondence to the universities they've applied to. After completing the OUAC application, students can log back in at any time and make changes, including adding and dropping programs from their account. Students are also encouraged to check their email, the email they've added to their OUAC application, every day to look out for correspondence from the OUAC itself and from the universities they've applied to.
go over some key dates just to be mindful of moving forward. The first one is January 15th. January 15th is the deadline for all Ontario high school students to submit their application through the OUAC. This initial application includes all final grades for completed grade 11 and grade 12 courses, as well as a list of all current year courses in progress. Though, as I said before, the deadline for Ontario students is January 15th, for Crestwood, our in-house deadline is set for December 7th. You may be wondering why we chose this December 7th deadline, and there are many reasons why we set this earlier date. One of the reasons is that mid-January, around that January 15th deadline, the OUAC website tends to get very busy and delays can happen. The last thing we want is for students to miss the university deadline because the website crashed the night of. Another benefit of submitting early is that changes are still able to be made. Since it's before the January 15th deadline, students can go into their application and make changes, and this is super important in case students have a change of heart and want to add or remove any programs. For students who also wish to apply to out-of-province universities, it's also important for them to apply early. Many of these out-of-province universities will ask students for their OUAC reference number. This number is only obtained after a student applies for Ontario universities. Finally, getting this initial application over with allows students to have more time to focus on additional requirements such as supplementary applications or any scholarship applications. Another important date to be mindful of is May 27, 2021. Though students typically hear before this date, May 27th is the latest date students can expect a response from an Ontario university. Students can expect to hear a final decision from each university they apply to, whether it be an offer, an alternate offer, or a refusal. Finally, June 1st, 2021 is the earliest date that the student may be required to respond to an offer of admission and or give a financial commitment such as a residence deposit or a tuition deposit.
In terms of sending marks to universities, students don't have to worry about this whatsoever. This is all taken care of electronically by the guidance counselors in the office. In October and November, the guidance team will upload all completed grade 11 and 12 marks up until this point, plus a list of the current subjects that each grade 12 is enrolled in. In the preceding months throughout the year, the guidance team will continue to upload current midterm marks. And those months include February, April, and then final marks in June. And then, of course, if any students are enrolled in summer school in July, that will be the last upload of marks for the year. Once a student submits their OUAC application, they can anticipate an offer of admission over the next few months. Offers are sent out between the months of February and May, and the timing will really depend on the program and the university the student has applied to. Students who apply to highly competitive programs, such as business, engineering, computer science, nursing, and specialty fine arts, can anticipate receiving an offer of admission a little bit closer to the end of the cycle, around the end of April and beginning of May, while other less competitive schools and programs with more seats and space will start to give out their offers a little bit earlier, around mid-March. Once a student receives an offer of admission, they have to understand that their offer is conditional. It is conditional based on maintaining a specified average, completing 6 grade 12 U or M level courses, graduating high school, and achieving the OSSD, Ontario Secondary School Diploma. All of these conditions are specified very clearly in the offer letter sent directly to students. So students are encouraged to really download these PDF offer letters onto their computers and keep them in a safe spot so they can always log on and look at these offer letters at any point in case they forget the criteria required of them. Now we are going to look at how students can apply to out-of-province universities. Unfortunately, there is no centralized application outside of Ontario, so students will simply need to visit each school's website that they are interested in, log on, create an account, and then complete the application directly on the website. Deadlines for universities outside of Ontario vary considerably with respect to when the applications must be handed in. These don't necessarily align with the OUAC or Ontario College's deadline, so we encourage students to make an extra special note of these if they are interested in applying to an out-of-province school. Once a student applies to a university outside of Ontario, they are encouraged to communicate this to the counselor they're working with so their counselor can then send their academic data and transcript to the schools they've applied to. If a student has applied to a school on this list here on the screen, these schools are actually connected to the OUAC, and as long as the student has added their OUAC reference number to their out-of-province application, they'll be able to electronically transfer that data, and the counselor will not need to send a transcript by email or mail. I'd like to end off this section with a final note about out-of-province universities in the Maritimes or on the east coast of Canada. Students who are interested in applying to Acadia, Mount Allison, St. Mary's, and St. FX need to know that these schools actually have a rolling admissions policy in place. And this means that students can apply early to these schools in the admission cycle, generally around October or November, and they can actually have a conditional offer within few weeks of submitting their applications based on their grade 11 marks and any completed grade 12 marks from their year. It is important to note that because of the rolling admissions policy, popular programs and residences do fill up early, so we really encourage students to identify which schools they'd like to apply to as soon as possible and submit those applications, again, in a timely manner.
For college applications, students will be using a website called OCAS. This is similar to OUAC insofar as this is where they do their application through, and it's also what collects and distributes all students' data in grade 9 to 12 marks. The first step of completing a college application is to go onto the Ontario College's website and create an account. During this step, the students will be required to fill in personal information as well as an educational history. Once their demographic information is complete, students can begin to add programs and submit their application. The cost of a college application is $95. This includes up to 5 program choices. The $95 is a set price, so regardless of if a student applies to just one program or all 5, the cost remains the same. Because of this, we strongly encourage all students to take advantage and apply to at least 5 programs. After the application is submitted, students can continue to log back in and look over their application in order to make any necessary changes. So that's the college application process in a nutshell. If you are interested in a more in-depth look at what the application process looks like, please watch the following video.
With Ontario College's online application, applying to programs on Ontario's public colleges is easy and convenient. Whether at your computer or on your mobile device, get started on your application by going to the Ontario College's website at ontariocolleges.ca. If you are a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident applicant applying to college for the first time, you will need to create an account at ontariocolleges.ca. To create an account, select Apply Now. Fill in the required information for new applicant. Make sure you use your legal first and last name. Begin by setting up your profile. Under Personal Information, select Get Started. Fill in the information and save. If you have to change something, no problem. Just select Update Info. Next, add information about your education background. Under Education, select Get Started and complete the section. Now that you completed your profile, you are ready to apply to college. To apply, select Apply to College. You can also select Apply from the side menu on the left. Use the side menu to jump to any part of your application when you wish to check information or make changes. Choose when you would like to go to college. For example, if you wish to apply for September, you would select after July 31st for programs offered between August of the same year and July of the next year. The first step is to choose the programs you want to apply to. Search for programs by entering the program title or code, or some words that describe the program. You can search by all colleges or by a specific college. From the search results, add the programs you want. You may choose a maximum of 5 programs with up to 3 programs from the same college. To help you keep track, the Program Choices at a Glance list shows all the programs you added. Using the arrows, arrange the programs in order of preference with your number 1 choice at the top. If you have declared other post-secondary education and know you qualify to start in an advanced semester, you can select an additional semester from the Advanced Standing drop-down if the program allows it. The second step is to order transcripts as part of your application. Most high schools and post-secondary institutions in Ontario will then automatically transfer a copy of your transcripts to ontariocolleges.ca. Third step is to review your application to make sure the information you entered is correct. Double check that you have chosen your desired start date, as some programs have more than one intake. The fourth step is payment of the application fee. The application fee for each application year is a non-refundable payment of $95. Some schools may charge an additional fee to process your transcripts. When you are ready, you can pay for your outstanding fees online. Once the fee is received and processed, ontariocolleges.ca will send your application to your colleges of choice. And that's it! Congratulations on applying to college! After you've applied, you can follow the progress of your application by selecting Home to view your dashboard. You'll see your admissions offers, messages, applications, and other key information to help you along your journey to college. Thank you for applying at ontariocolleges.ca.
So now we'll cover a couple key dates to be mindful of in the college application process. First thing is in October, the application becomes available for programs which start in fall 2021. For colleges, the deadline to apply to any highly competitive program is February 1st. February 1st is also the date in which colleges can begin to send out offers of admission. May 1st is the deadline for students to confirm any offers that they may have received. And finally, mid-June is when students can expect for tuition deposits to be due.
Hello everyone, it's Jeff Nitz here, and I would like to talk to you a little bit about applications to universities in the United States and in the UK, two of the areas that I am specializing in here at Crestwood. So starting with the United States, typically students should have done a lot of research in grade 11 as to the kinds of schools that are of interest to them. They should be meeting with me to discuss their plan, and by the time they're getting into grade 12, they should establish an account with the Common Application and start thinking about their extracurriculars, teacher references, and counselor references. It's my job to guide this, and it is a bit complicated. It's a very holistic process, but I've done it for many, many years and feel quite confident in helping our students. Why would you want to study in the United States? Typically, there's 4 reasons. One is you're an elite athlete and you're wanting to play sports in a U.S. college. 2, you have a very specialized interest in a program that might be offered in the United States that isn't as readily available in Canada. 3, you are interested in accessing one of the elite small colleges in the U.S., like Williams or Swarthmore or Haverford. Or 4th, you're just really curious about whether or not you could get into one of the very, very top Ivy League type colleges like Stanford Harvard, or Yale. So do see me if you have an interest in US universities. As far as the UK is concerned, a little bit of a different process. You have to be quite sure as to what area you wish to study. So you're applying as a history student or a philosophy student or a languages student. You are allowed 5 universities in the UK. It's all done through an online system called UCAS. I work very closely with an organization in Toronto that is set up to assist us with UK applications. They are paid by the UK universities, so it's a service that is free to our Crestwood students. And these people are experts. It's called Study in UK. They have an office in Toronto, and they're incredibly helpful. Deadlines are typically around the beginning of January, unless you're applying to direct entry medicine, law, or schools like Oxford and Cambridge, when the deadlines are much earlier. It's actually October the 15th. So you have to get on that really, really early. Here we are already in mid-September. So the other areas, of course, I could help with would be schools in Australia, New Zealand, Europe, Hong Kong, whatever might be of interest. I do all of the applications outside of Canada, so please get in touch by email. It'd be best, and then we can set up appointments to follow up. In the meantime, I hope everyone has a great year. Stay well, stay safe. That's it for now.
In terms of next steps for students, it's important for students to begin to research possible universities and programs they're interested in. As we mentioned earlier in the presentation, there are many wonderful research tools that students have access to. Between the Ontario University Info website, university rep presentations, and taking part in virtual open houses and virtual tours, these are all fantastic ways for students to ask questions, see what's out there, and start to develop an idea of what schools and programs may be the best fit for them.
Good evening. My name is Michael Leach. I'm a teacher and a psychologist, and I've been working with young people for approximately 25 years in both the public system and the independent school system. For 15 years, I was at Crescent School, where I was the founding director of student services. And since 2013, I've been in private practice, where I specialize in helping families and students make the transition from secondary to post-secondary education, be that updating psychoeducational assessments and choosing schools and options and weighing all those different choices of colleges and university programs in Canada, the United States, and worldwide. My experience educationally is quite vast. I did my undergrad in Canada, my master's in the United States, and my doctorate in the United Kingdom. So I have a firm grasp of the different programs and the different styles of teaching and the different sort of student experiences that are available throughout the world. What I'd like to do tonight is to give you a condensed version of a program that I usually give at this time of year to the students and families at Crestwood on what makes a successful transition from high school to post-secondary. I have 3 slides to show you, and this is part of a larger presentation that will be available for downloading later on in the month or towards Thanksgiving as well. Okay, so let's begin with the first slide. And it's about getting off to a good start. We know that the first 8 weeks predicts how well a student will adapt to the rigors of college and university. And what I have for you tonight are 3 ideas that I've come across in my experience that predicate a good start for students. And the 3 major differences between high school and post-secondary, and being aware of these can mean the difference between a great start and one that leaves you catching up before you know it. And there have been many, many students who get to Thanksgiving, get to November, and realize that they're already a little bit behind the 8 ball and have some catching up to do. But if you are aware of some of the things that I'm going to talk about briefly here, you can avoid that pitfall. So the first one, evaluations are few and far between in post-secondary compared to high school. At an exceptional independent school such as Crestwood, your son or daughter can generally tell you approximately 2 or 3 percentage points either way how they are doing in the course. And that's because there is regular feedback, testing, and generally that is how students know how well they are doing, because the feedback is regular and it's consistent. In post-secondary, in college and university, the first evaluation may not be until Thanksgiving. So there's a great deal of time between the first day of classes and when the first evaluation is, and students may not quite know how they are doing. So it's really important to get into a habit of studying well, studying with peers, and working as if you have evaluations and tests just like high school, testing each other, testing peers, those kinds of things, and getting into a really good peer study group. So when that first evaluation does come in Thanksgiving or a little bit even later, the student is well prepared for that. Number two, you will likely have much more free time in post-secondary when compared to high school. In a wonderful independent school such as Crestwood, you can be have programming from Monday to Friday, Monday to Saturday, from 7:30 in the morning till 5 at night, maybe even longer. And your time is programmed for you. So you know what you're doing, and there is not a lot of extra free time. And a lot of it then is spent in study. When you get to post-secondary, college and university, you may have as little as 15 hours of classes a week, and that leaves a lot of free time. So you are best to make a calendar where everything is broken down into the hours of the day. First part is the student, I recommend, puts in all their classes, and then they fill in the calendar with whatever they think might be important to them. So it may be going to the gym, it may be socializing, it may be actual study time, it may be individual library time or peer group work or volunteer work or maybe a part-time job. But it's always good to have that in a calendar where you can actually see the amount of time and where your time is being spent. Because in college and university, you have to be much more independent and spend your time wisely. Number three, classes generally in post-secondary will be much larger than those experienced in high school. And this is important because the independence of college and university means that you are free to choose to sit where you like. So if your class is very large, if you sit in the back, your professor probably will not get to know you very well. What I recommend is that students sit in the first 1 or 2 or 3 rows and make sure that they are participating, make sure the hand is going up, they're asking questions, maybe asking questions after class so the professor gets to know your name. And that's important for your own learning, but it's also important down the road. Say in 4 years you're applying to graduate school or you're looking for a job and you need a reference, you can go back to that professor, those professors who know your name, and they will know who you are. And because of the active participation and the choices that you made to make yourself known, and those will pay dividends later on, I guarantee you, whether it's grad school applications or workplace or co-op or those kinds of things. So sit in the first few rows and take part and make sure that you become a known entity to your professor. Okay, and those are 3 main areas that reflect good decisions and a good start. And if you do those 3 things, you're off to a very, very good start. And we all know that a good start leads to a good middle and leads to a solid ending in most cases. And you will also not find yourself behind, when it comes to Thanksgiving and those kinds of times. So it's always a great idea to make good independent decisions in college and university and to get those great decisions going from the first day. What I'm going to put down, the next slide is my card. I welcome feedback. I welcome if you have a son or daughter who's looking to update their psychoeducational assessment. Maybe it was done in elementary school and now we need it done for college and university when the adult measures are used. Please feel free to reach out to me via email or phone. My practice is in the Midtown area at Yonge and Eglinton, and I'd be more than happy to discuss, looking at updating assessments or just speaking about opportunities at college and universities. And I work very closely with the Department of College and University Placement at Crestwood, and we have worked together for years and years, and it's been a great relationship. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you feel that I could be of some assistance. And once again, thank you very much for listening, and I wish you all a safe and prosperous fall and autumn. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the post-secondary evening at Crestwood. We hope that this presentation was informative and you were able to learn a little bit more about the application process and guidance program we offer here at school. If you have absolutely any questions or concerns, do not hesitate to reach out to any of the counselors on the screen. Our contact information is here again. We look forward to working with all the grade 12s this year as we navigate through these COVID times. Stay well and be safe.